My name is Kim Reed. I teach at Madison Elementary in Cedar Rapids. I'm teaching 5th grade this year. It's actually the same class I had last year in 4th grade, and I'm looping through with these kids again. So we really know each other very well. Basically, we're making a CD-ROM, which is a culminating activity of a social studies project we've done called Walk Through History. And the students had researched a person in history like Cleopatra, Babe Ruth, Theodore Roosevelt. And they'd done a written report and then gone through and taken that written report and made an oral presentation. We invited all the parents and students and teachers in the building to come up, and they portrayed that person in the gym one afternoon and said, "Hi, I'm Leonardo da Vinci, I've done this in my life," and so on. And so that was like the second part of the activity. So the third part will be taking the information that they have in their written reports, what they've learned, information they found on the internet and so on, and put it all together on a CD-ROM. The first one that came to mind when I thought about this is to make it more meaningful. Obviously, a written report is fine. When they portrayed the character, that was a second step of making sure they understood what the person was all about. And the third stage now, making the CD-ROM, is to make it, again, more relevant, to make sure they process the information more fully. And it also is a different audience. The audience, the last stage was, well, the first stage was me and the students in the classroom with the written reports. The second audience were their peers and their parents and teachers. And the third audience now is anybody who wants to see the CD-ROM. Whether it be this year or in 10 years from now or 30 years from now, they can look back and see videotape of what they've done on as quick time. They can see the written report. They can see a photograph of the student as well. So there's so many different things going on in this project specifically. Again, there are aspects of proofreading that go into this, working together as a team. The final outcome, obviously, is what does the CD look like and what does each person put into it. So individually, I look at, have they done the report? Have they typed it in, or have somebody type it in for them? Has it been proofread? Have they done their artwork to go with the cards in the HyperStudio? And basically, have they put it all together? And in that process, have they worked together as a team? And I guess the responsibilities I assigned to them or they volunteer for, have they been carried out? Basically, it's an extension of the course outline. Okay, so I took what is in the curriculum and extended it by putting in the CD-ROM activity. And I'm utilizing the technology we've used for the last 2 years with this group of children, using the scanners and the internet and so on, and pulling it all together. I'm also using it as an extension for some kids to learn how to scan, to learn how to do QuickTime files, things like that, which we haven't gotten a chance to do yet. So it's a way of applying those technologies. Again, having these students for 2 years, I knew what they could do, their expertise in different areas. I knew what they couldn't do. So what I'm trying to do now is put everything they've done the last 2 years kind of together. Let's take their work and enhance it. Let's take some cooperative learning and say, can you teach so-and-so how to do this? Which they were doing a lot in these activities today. They were asking more questions, saying, well, can I do this now? Or I'd like to know how to do the PowerPoint, for example, which is new to most of the kids. I only have like a handful of students who can do that. So the strategy on this was to take a project which I could have left after the first 2 stages and utilize that to help enhance their different learnings in technology, cooperation, the sharing of information, and validating things like websites, for example, on their research. I had some students validating that the sites were typed in correctly or they were valid sites to use. We've made CD-ROMs before, and we made one on Iowa, and that was a collaboration with another class. We kind of taught them how to make one. We learned how to make one as well. And this one's more of an extension of that, whereas we had parent helpers before. We would not need parent helpers this time. The kids are pretty much on their own in teams. When you finally make a CD and it comes out of the burner and it's actually warm, like out of the oven, and the kids put it in the computer and it works, and there they are. And they take it home, and their parents who don't really understand the technology we're using, they'll come in and say, I didn't realize what my kids were doing or could do. And that's probably the biggest, greatest feeling at the end is the final product. A big thing, especially with 5th graders, no matter which group of kids I have, is putting the responsibility for learning back on them, which means once we have an activity in progress and they have a responsibility, can they carry it out to the best of their ability? And again, since I know these kids, I knew what was expected of them or what they could do. And I thought that in this activity, that decision-making was a big part of it. I'd like to do this, or can we do that, or as a group deciding on what worked in the CD last time, what we could improve on, and they talked about it and brainstormed in their small groups. So decision making was there, the listening skills were there, the active participation I think was there as well. And these kids have come a long way since fourth grade as far as being able to share ideas, take constructive criticism, not feeling bad if they didn't get in a certain group or if their idea wasn't used or utilized. They can cope with those skills. And that's a real maturity, I think. And I think in next year when they go in middle school, they'll be better prepared for that.